Hey, I'm Dr. Corey, and I want to walk you through what it's like to do a neurodiversity or neurodivergence assessment with me. I've been using those words interchangeably for a little while, and I know I'm really trying to really just hone in on neurodiversity because the more work that I do with this, the more I'm like, what is a typical, the normal neurotype, like what really is that? And when you like do that thought experiment to its completion, what I have at least, it's like I don't I don't know if there is like a one neurotype that is like the norm. I think it's a philosophical question, certainly for another video. But at any rate, we're here to talk about the operations of like what it actually is like to make that appointment and then walk you through the steps of the assessment. So I tend to take a different approach from the norm. If you're going to, for instance, to see someone who for an autism assessment as an adult, what currently happens is you tend to book like 2 appointments. They're about like an hour each, maybe more. And you get, it's just questions asked to you without really any feedback. And then you get like a 20-page report. Sometimes they're shorter. And then you have a follow-up visit with them, and then you never see that person again. I think it is not the best way to do neurodivergence assessments for a number of reasons. Just giving you like a report, some links to follow, like figure it out on your own. And then you're just like, okay, this is like a huge paradigm shift and I have no support. That can be like very, very disarming, like very destabilizing. And so I have decided for a number of reasons to shift the model. We take our time. It's a more collaborative approach. And I provide you documentation that you might actually use in clinical settings or workplace or with your family members. The first thing we're gonna go through is what to expect. So my first set of appointments, it usually takes about 3 to 4 40-minute sessions. I keep them shorter to stay within the insurance medical model so that you can use your insurance and you don't have to pay like the $3,000 that some people charge for these assessments. And we work together on scheduling and the pacing that's right for you. Typically, like we'll do these sessions kind of like on a weekly basis for a while to like work with your schedule. And some people just need a little while after that first visit to really see if that's right for them. It can be like a very vulnerable experience to even initiate these sessions. So I try to like be very gentle with you and meet you where you're at and use this as a real collaboration. So the first set of appointments, I go through a questionnaire that's really like the who you are and who you were as a child. And that typically explores questions about like your communication style, routines, what you were like as a child, what kind of friends you had, like what kind of relationships you had. And I do have questions about if you had any like childhood trauma, and you do not, and I say this every time, like you do not need to tell me what that was. I'm here for it if you do want to talk about it, but just putting like some time points on a map just so we can get a feel for you. Answering that question, like which branch of the neurodivergence umbrella is this in? But it's still really helpful to just explore these questions and work with you on what feels right, and just like really collaborate on what avenues we're going to explore. So sometimes it takes like a little bit longer than those few sessions. If you're a talker, then it'll probably take longer. If you aren't as much of like a wordy person, then it won't take as long. And then the second part we go through is what challenges are you facing? Like what is really causing you to have difficulty in your life? Whether that's at work, whether that's in the medical system, going to doctors and like being so nervous that it is difficult to even state your needs. And like I can very much relate to that because I have gone through that too. Having a doctor stand in front of you knowing like they don't believe you when you say like you have altered pain perception or maybe like paradoxical reactions to medications. And so just get a feel for what your challenges are. We can work through really what challenges you're facing at work or school, and what accommodations like that may be actually like achievable for you within that. Really, we're focusing on your story and like who you are, your challenges. Then we go through the support of like how do we move through that. So it's like at that point it's almost like more counseling, definitely like not trying to step on your like therapist's toes at any point in this process, really focusing on how to support you, what systems we can help you put in place, and conversations you may want to have with your family. And so what you're going to get from me is a step-by-step process. And what you're going to get is a clear approach to how to move forward in your life, and done in a way that works for you. If you are not a reader, I'm not going to give you a long report. And we're going to talk through whatever you need to talk through and give you whatever you need that I can do within the realm of my scope of capabilities to really help you feel safe, supported, aligned with yourself, and like you have strategies to move forward. And the best part is like you can come back anytime and we can talk through. I also like will have in your chart 3-month, 6-month, 12-month checkups, just like notification. So in addition to working at your pace, I will also check in with you if you'd like, so that you feel supported and safe, but you can come back anytime. We can work together as slowly or quickly as possible, so that you know that you have someone you can come to. And like if you need a letter from work, you know you can come to me for that, just like any other, like if you needed a doctor's letter for something else. So I really like that approach. It feels right to me to not just like leave you hanging. This is a good fit for someone who really wants a better understanding of yourself. You're probably someone who maybe had a less obvious presentation during childhood, and you may have been like passed over with assessments, or you may be like born before 1990, or even like born before 2000, where assessing you was not on anyone's mind, whether it's because of like the gender you were raised with or cultural differences, like any other one of those factors. It could have been like a very like quiet presentation. So there's a number of reasons why you may be just like silently struggling right now. So it's a good fit for that. It's a good fit for people who like don't necessarily need like all the formal documentation. And there are some like asterisks that I put in place. Like there are certain diagnoses that cognitive intelligence assessments, or some certain things like clinical psychologists, that's kind of their turf. But there's a broad range of things in the scope of neurodivergence that like has aligned for a lot of people, that is like well within my skill set. So this is really not for, like I say, like people who are looking for like a super medicalized, like diagnostic deficit based approach. That's not for you. And I also really only do assessments in people 18 and over. And also anyone who's like expecting kind of like a 15-minute quiz style and then I give you a diagnosis, like that's also not our jam. I want to let you know, like we do go deep, but I proceed with care and slow down when we need to, really like give you the time to talk about some of these challenges you've been facing, because most times you've really never said any of this stuff out loud to another human. And I know that, and like I want to honor your experience, give you a safe space, and invite you to really like come when you're ready. One of the benefits of doing like a more like weekly approach for a while is that you have time to think about what we talked about. So a lot of people will say, we'll come to the next session. I usually start it by just saying, did anything come up for you from the last time? And I hear a lot like, I don't know why I didn't say this thing that happened. Like, that's the most obvious thing. And I'm like, that's why we do this, so that you feel like you've really been able to tell your full story. If you are interested, I have a link below to my website, and there's a scheduling tab, and then you can go through and just that'll take you to the clinic where I'm working, and then you can schedule through them. And please feel free, if you have any questions, reach out to that clinic, and please comment below and let me know what you're thinking, and if I can answer any questions on YouTube, I will. Otherwise, I will see you at your assessment. Thanks for watching.